Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the Daily Recap. I am Breaky CPK Course. Today is February 10th, 2018. Plenty of results to go over. We have four different qualifiers. Four different qualifiers going on right now, as of today at least. Holy crap, there's plenty of results. Let's start getting right into it without further ado. We'll start with the DAC. Now, DAC just about wrapped up. We have two more regions that we've been trying to figure out. South America, one of those. We'll start with that first. And as I did expect, Pain Gaming ultimately winning the grand finals. They are going to be the team representing South America. And again, I genuinely am excited to see how they do at the main event. They've been fairly impressive as of late. A team that's really kind of meshed well together. SG Sports did defeat them in the winter finals initially, knocking them down to those losers bracket. But again, Pain Gaming got the better of them the second time around, and thus they are going on. So they're moving on. One more region we need to find out for CIS or for DAC, and that would be the CIS region, which is starting to play out right now. We had the first rounds. Again, this one was a little bit delayed compared to the others, as the DreamLeague CIS event was happening, the qualifiers for that. So look at the results so far. Pretty much as you maybe would expect. Na'Vi over one of the open qualifier teams. You have Gambit over Vega 2-1. Vega yet again running with a new roster that they're trying out here. So Gambit Esports getting the better of them. Empire over Team Kazakhstan, and Spirit 2-0 over Effect. So no teams eliminated just yet. But again, we are seeing some progress now in the CIS regional qualifiers. Of course, we also got to see the debut of Lil for Na'Vi and LeBron Dota for that matter. So bit of a different roster, but taking care of business. 2-0 in their first matchup. Gambit Esports definitely will be much more of a challenge, and actually, as I'm recording this, it's currently going on live now. So by tomorrow's Daily Recap, we'll have a better idea of what to expect for them. But again, as you see with the DAC, this is the last region, and once we have the CIS team, we can then start knowing what all the 16 teams are going to be. Then eventually we'll have the format and everything. That's going to be at the end of March, though, into early April. So we still have a bit of time before the main event itself is happening. JSEA Indonesia, a minor event that's coming up. We have qualifiers for this going on, including one region, the European region, that I am doing casting for. I actually just got finished casting for it. That's why this Daily Recap is a little bit later on today. Do apologize. But again, casting comes first, obviously. Consider myself a full-time caster here. So we got some results today. It was a very entertaining first day here, first off. But in the end, the final tribe 2-1 over Team Kingwin, and Penta Sports did go 2-0 over Double Dimension. But don't let that fool you, because that was actually a lot closer of a series than expected. But one of the highlights, especially for today, was Weehaw for Penta Sports. He got 3 rampages in 2 games, 2 in the second game on his Quap, and then 1 in the first game when he was playing Razor, I believe it was. So Weehaw doing Weehaw things, definitely helping to carry his team to victory. That being Penta Sports. So our following round, we have our winter finals and our losers round 1. Again, these are only 4-team double elimination tournaments. Very interesting format, but it's one that they just want to get the teams clearly for the main event. So that's happening. I believe there is another qualifier going on for GESC as well. Which one was it? Is it CIS? No, that's already wrapped up. China, I think it is. Let's click on China here real quickly. Yes, we need to know China. VGJ Thunder, they're currently awaiting in the finals. They played the winner of Newbie versus LGD Gaming. So VGJ Thunder actually defeated Newbie in the first round. Look at these 4. This is a legitimate qualifying. This is the toughest qualifying bracket I have seen in a very long time. There's only 4 teams, and we're looking at arguably the 4 best teams in China right now, with VG Gaming, LGD, VGJ Thunder, and Newbie all having to compete for that one spot. So that's some interesting stuff. Again, the only team that got invited to this event was actually Evil Geniuses, go figure. There is also going to be an Indonesian qualifier, being that it's in Indonesia. The event organization wanted that to take place. So, crazy bracket. Right now it's going to be VGJ Thunder versus the winner of Newbie versus LGD. We'll see how that eventually shapes up. So, DreamLeague currently going on the CIS region. Actually wrapping up, and spoiler, as you saw right there, Empire did defeat Suicide Team in the finals, 2-1 against Suicide Team, the open qualifier team that qualified for this event. BZZ, Shashla, the players you may know. Other than that, not really too recognizable, but they took it the distance of Empire. In fact, they won the first game, as you see right here. So Empire, that was a bit of a scare. Could you imagine seeing Suicide Team at the DreamLeague finals for the minor event that they're putting on here? But ultimately, it was actually Empire in the end, as they take it 2-1. And I believe South America, South America is now playing it as well. How about this result? SG Esports 2-1 over Pain Gaming to get to the grand finals. So again, Pain is still in it, but obviously, as we saw in the DAC qualifiers, as long as Pain Gaming keeps winning in the end, I'm still going to keep going with them. SG Esports is a great team themselves, and it wouldn't be surprising necessarily if they defeat Pain Gaming to qualify, but I'm still leaning towards Pain Gaming as a top team right now outside of South America. So that you got those two qualifiers happening on for DreamLeague. And now Epicenter is also starting to get kicked off with their regional qualifiers. And this has the casting competition that I've mentioned before as well. Again, I happen to be one of the finalists, one of the 5 current finalists. There's apparently going to be 3 more after this weekend, so it's going to be 8 in total. One, as they're saying right now, of those people is going to be invited to the main event to at least catch the group stages for Epicenter. So it's a big opportunity. I do look forward to it. I am going to be casting the European region, I think, is what I'm set to be casting. I still don't know the schedule just yet, so hopefully that comes up. But Epicenter English 1 is in my chat. I swear I didn't plan that. What is up, man? Anyway, Southeast Asia did kick off earlier on today, I want to say. And you see the format. It's 8 teams. You have 2 groups of 4 teams in each. So far, we know which 2 teams are moving on from Group A, as Mineski and TNC take it over Admiral and Execration, excuse me. Team Admiral, though, what is their roster that they're running with now? Yeah, this is the Demon roster that was put together. Again, formerly they had a couple of other players, but didn't they have Armel, I want to say? Yeah, Armel was playing with them, but then he eventually went to TNC, actually, so they had to get a new player in place for him. So, but they were able to get a victory over Execration, but again, they came up short against TNC, and it did go the distance. It was a 2-1 series. In fact, the first time they played also a 2-1 series. So very, very close in the end. But you have TNC and Mineski moving on to the playoff stage. Out of Group B, you have Fnatic, Boom ID, Geek Fam, and Alpha Red. They're going to be playing later on today. Alpha Red, a team out of Thailand. Yeah, good luck to those guys there. Haven't seen too many Thai teams in the Dota 2 competitive scene. Definitely in the Han scene, that's for sure. But anyways, Fnatic, of course, has to be the favorites here. And Boom ID, I know they've been doing some decent stuff lately. They're out of Indonesia. I wouldn't be surprised if they're the second team, but you would probably lean more towards Geek Fam, being that they're the more experienced team. They were one of the invited teams after all. But, I'm going to say Fnatic, Boom ID, are the 2 teams that advance on out of Group B. But then from there, they play in the playoff stage. And again, ultimately 1 team advancing on to the main event. That is Epicenter, which, again, I've said this before, so I'm not just saying this because he happens to be in our chat, and I'm not trying to, be, get in there a little bit. But, no, the Epicenter event, year in and year out, proves to be a very, very, very good event, well-ran event. And, again, it happens to be one of the majors this year, $1 million prize pool. So to qualify for this event definitely is a big deal for all of these teams. You see the invited teams initially right now is Virtus Pro and Liquid. We're still waiting on really 3 more invite teams, and then apparently we have something called a Madness Qualifier, which is going to be taking place. I don't know what to expect with that. I don't think anyone really does. Maybe it's going to be kind of a wild card qualifier of sorts, but who knows? We'll see how that ultimately looks down the line. But so again, yeah, Southeast Asia started. I don't think the other ones have started up just yet. We're still waiting for more information before those do kick off. Apparently, Europe is set to start in a couple of days from now. Again, I don't get the official schedule until Monday, but we'll see. We'll see how that looks too. And then one more piece of news I wanted to talk about before wrapping up the daily recap. This announcement came out today from ESL. Of course, ESL Katowice, or Katowice, however you want to say it. That event is, when is it actually? It's February 20th through the 25th, so we got a couple of weeks here, a week and a half, before it's going to be happening. An announcement came out today, though, of the main event schedule for the tournament. Or let's just say it was more of a reiteration of what of the main event schedule. Now, so this is the first time we're seeing the full schedule of the main event. Main event being the portion that's going to be at the actual event itself for the main stage for people that are going and bought tickets to watch it and everything. Obviously, there's going to be the initial group stages, and that in itself is going to be played, I'm guessing, out of the hotel rooms like a lot of these events do. However, as you notice, it's only a 2-day tournament, and this is a major tournament, and they are coming off a lot of the drama from the previous ESL, not only Facebook, but even the main event itself. There was a little bit of drama, concerns brought up that if it wasn't for an epic 5 games Liquid versus Newbie finals, it would have been a pretty lackluster main event, and a lot of it had to do with because there's only 2 best-of-3s each day. And it was a 3-day event with the grand finals being its own day on the very end, but it's still for the people that went there. Both series on both days before that were 2-0, excuse me, and were very quick series in like 2 hours or so. Now, I mean, you could argue that you look at traditional sports and a game, lasts anywhere from about 2 to 5 hours, depending on the sport, of course, but really like 3 to 4 hours is, fairly average length. So from that perspective, I can kind of understand, but at the same time, esports is different. Esports, we expect something else when we go and we pay money to attend an event, especially since there are a lot less that happen. And a lot of these cases, there's people traveling from different countries even, all over the world to come to these events. And people are spending a lot of money to come to these events, not just the ticket prices themselves, but to fly out there, to stay in a hotel, etc. So if you're putting on a main event that is especially for a major tournament with the ESL brand behind it, which at least in the big scheme of things is definitely a legitimate organization. I know in Dota 2 right now they're getting a little bit of crap, and arguably for good reason, but overall ESL has a lot of proud history in esports, and they've put on great events in the past. But this only being a 2-day main event, it has brought up a lot of concerns, and it's brought up yet more drama that's gone towards talking about ESL. Now, the biggest defense that ESL has stated, in fact, BSL, he actually did make a post on Reddit. And you know what? Let me pull it up real quickly to clarify. But it was essentially along the lines, he was suggesting that this is something that, to make the schedule work out, etc. This is just simply how they had to set it up for renting the venue out. Whatever, with something about rules in Germany, or not Germany, but something about some rules somewhere. Together with the survey feedback at our events that the majority would like each day to be between 6 to 8 hours, this resulted in the schedule we have now. Seen in Genting, for example, 2 quarterfinals, 2 semifinals, and 1 grand final on the Sunday there. So apparently they've done some surveys to get an idea of how long people will like to be there. And again, see, I do see this like a 6 to 8 hour day. That does kind of make sense to me, and so I could see an actual survey reflecting that. And personally, myself, I could see myself answering that. What's a good limit and what's a good time limit do you think to have a big event like this? However, I would say if it's going to be 6 to 8 hours a day, ideally I would want it at least 3 days, if not even 4 days, right? But in this case, it's only a 2-day tournament. It goes back to my biggest problem with this is, and ESL has made the point, and apparently this information has been out for like 3 months now, and so the people that have bought tickets, technically the information has been there that it's only going to be a 2-day main event. So it's not necessarily that I'm arguing like, oh, I feel bad for the ticket people now because they didn't know, because technically they did. But it's more so the idea, the logistics. Yes, I understand if you're going to have it as a specific arena, it could cost more and some regulations, etc. But then make sure you set it up that way. We've been through this before. You just went through this with the previous event, and sure, maybe it wasn't enough time to kind of realize that mistake going into this one now, only being a couple months itself down the line. But in the future, if you're going to be putting on such a major tournament, you need to have more dates. And even if that means a little bit lesser of a venue as a result of that, I think that's the majority of the people that would be going there in person anyways would prefer more days added on, a day or two added on, rather than just it being, happen to be at just a little bit bigger of an arena or whatever, but it can only be those 2 days. I may be wrong. I may be overthinking it. And at the same time, again, I could see myself saying, but actually a 2-day event at some really cool stadium does sound fun as well. But again, I go back to being a major tournament and just the tradition of esports, especially Dota 2 events. It feels like ideally it needs to be 3, if not 4 days in full to really get that feel that people have come to expect. But ESL maybe trying to change minds, as we know that they are with the Facebook situation and everything. So they're getting some slack on this, and some flack, excuse me, on this. And I think it is fairly deserved. I don't think it's the end of the world. I still think ESL is good for Dota 2, and I still think that ideally that they will continue to make these adjustments and improvements with what they've been doing lately and causing all this drama to still participate actively in Dota 2, because in the long run, I would hate for ESL to just all of a sudden be like, you know what, we're just frustrated with all this drama that's going on. We don't want to support Dota 2 anymore. And yes, that may hurt them, but I can see it also hurting the Dota 2 scene. Again, they've been around a long time, and they have put on great events in the past. And even ESL Genting, as much of this might not be the most popular opinion, it was a good event. It just unfortunately was overshadowed by the huge drama of the whole Facebook situation. But the event itself, the production itself of the actual tournament, the games themselves for the most part, I mean, it was a great tournament in the end. Even the players would tell you that were there. So I'm not on the board that this Reddit hate train of ESL as an organization as a whole by any means, but I do think that they need to make more improvements, and this did not help their case by any means. So there you go. There's my little bit of a rant when it comes to the whole ESL event. But guys, that's going to do it for the daily recap. Hopefully you enjoyed it as well. What is February 10th, 2018. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.